Hey, look who's back, me. Happy Christmas, Merry New Year to all who celebrate. It is the second day of summer here in sunny, well, actually overcast Montevideo, Uruguay. I won't talk much about that right now. I just kind of got, every time I move, I get out of the swing of things again. And I had a cruise, which I'll talk about at another point. I read a ton of books, which I'll talk about at another point. Really, I'm just making this today because I'm moving yet again tomorrow. Here's a view of this antiseptic, plain, dull, ordinary, uh, you know, Airbnb. Check out this wall right here with all the decorations. It's actually a pretty nice place, but I'm leaving tomorrow, so it's the only time you'll see it. I'm just going across town to another part. It's a beautiful city. I'm enjoying my time here. But like I said, as usual, when I move, I get completely out of the swing of BookTube, although I did read a lot of books. I'm just going to talk about one. This is the most recent book I finished. Then I'll go back and cover other things that were interesting along the way in future videos next year. But like I said, I just wanted to say hello, get back in the swing of it. I did read, actually, I did the audiobook of this, Bernard Cornwell's Sharpe Storm, which is the most recent book in the Richard Sharpe series, which I've talked about before. Um, I've tried many other Cornwell series over the years. I could never really get into them, but I do as much. But I do love the Sharpe's books, and this is, he finished the main cycle many years ago, and he comes back occasionally and writes a new insert, sort of a prequel or sequel, or just back in the middle of the continuity someplace. This is a really good read, though. I liked it much better than the last one I read, which his name I don't even remember. Came out a couple years ago, but he's back to writing these more now that I think he finished his Viking books, which were very popular. Became a TV series, and a lot of people might know these Sharpe books from the Sean Bean series of, I don't know, the early 20s or the 90s, quite a while ago now. Cornwell's been writing these forever. This one's really good. Very nice, very action packed, like they all are. A good reader, whose name I didn't write down, but a good reader who's kind of channeling Sean Bean's character. Sean Bean's characterization of the main character, Richard Sharpe. So it's a story about Sharpe is called to Wellington's headquarters to and ordered to escort these two Navy officers that he knows, or he knows one of them, around to see a pontoon bridge that has been made because they want to copy it and make another pontoon bridge or a floating bridge. I'm not sure what you call it. On another more treacherous waterway that they need. They're occupying France right now. I think this is 1812. This is set in. Anyway, so it's a kind of bridge where they take a bunch of boats, they rope them together. So it's like a floating bridge. Then they put a bunch of planks across them and ropes and stuff to make them transpassable, to make them useful for an army on horseback, partially on horseback to ride through. So they got to learn how to make this, and of course there's a lot of battles along the way, and I definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of the series, you're probably reading it anyway. Not the one to start with. There was one thing I noticed about it, though, which I found very odd. And then even when I was looking at reviews of it, I noticed other people mentioned it too, so it's probably just not me. But this book, I don't know if this is a trend. I haven't noticed it in other books so much. I haven't noticed him do this in other books, but I guess the short way to say it is really needed another edit. There's an absurdly strange number of repeated scenes. For example, in the first scene, Sharpe's character, uniform, physical appearance, everything is described in detail. And then in chapter 2, again described in detail. There's other points. There's other repeated scenes, like for example, there's a time when Sharpe has a plan to do something, and he explains the whole plan about how they're going to go down and attack, the French in this location. He's got some good tricks up his sleeve and everything, and tells it all to the people in the group. Then he goes back to his other group, which is currently being commanded by I forgot the character's name. His sergeant, who's in all the books, the Irish sergeant who's in all the books with him, and so Sharpe has to tell him the plan, and he repeats the entire plan that he has just told in a few pages ago to another character. And normally in a book, something like this happens, and you got to give the same information to two characters. The first one, you give out the details. The second one, you just do a line or something about how Sharpe then explained the plan to Hogan. Is it Hogan? Harper. To Harper, then they agree on the plan. Or you give a little bit of new information, but you don't go through the whole thing again. It's happened several times. There's a couple scenes in Wellington's homestead, Wellington's quarters, that are just almost beat for beat about cleaning Sharpe's uniform and getting him ship shape again for presentation, fresh from the battlefield, and it was odd. I think it's probably lazy or indifferent editing. No one cared enough. They just wanted to get the book out on time, and often things that are redundant are left in by by a writer because they're too close to the material. An editor could have come along and said, we already know this by this point. You're just slowing the book down for some reason. It was very odd. Did it make me hate the book? No. My other theory is probably a more conspiracy-minded theory, is that this is what's been bleeding over into TV and movies, this kind of acknowledgement about diminished attention spans, and particularly streaming movies and stuff, and streaming productions being told to make sure that you can keep a story interesting. You have to hit the story points hard, because you have to realize people are on another screen while they're watching your movie on Netflix. But I really don't think that has infected the book world, unless maybe publishers just think it has. So who knows? I wonder if anybody else has read this and if they notice the same thing. I was surprised to see people mention it on Reddit when I just happened to go on there and look for information about the Sharpe series. So I'm not imagining it. I imagine. And that's it for books. I have probably a dozen books that I've read that I want to talk about, but I'm going to break them up into categories. So kind of a little preview. I read some books when I was on the cruise ship, which I'll talk about in a different video. Read some quite good books on that tour. Read a bunch of Heinlein. I'll go into the reasons why in another video, so probably got 4 or 5 of those to talk about as one video. And everything, but the Sharpe book kind of fell out on its own because I don't have any other books by the same author or anything, or in the same vein to talk about. So thought I'd throw that in there. I really did like it overall. It's if you're ready for action stuff, I just thought it was a strange kind of stylistic choice or whatever, plotting structural choice. I was very curious. I was made very curious about it because I've never noticed him doing this in other books, and I really think it was just a case of the publisher not caring enough. They just had a schedule. They wanted the book out, so they're not gonna really edit it, which is how things go these days. So anyway, did I do a tour of the apartment? I think I did. Ooh, see, it's a loft apartment, which is not fun. Because I don't have the best balance in the world. I will never get a loft one again, because if you're... it's also a ground floor apartment, so maybe you heard that motorcycle out there. But, a loft bed sounds cool and everything when you get up there, and it's of course, it's the hottest part of the apartment, and it is summer here now, below the equator. And I realized this is my first time below the equator, which is exciting. So I've had a fun month here. I really let videos get away from me. I'll try to get back to it more in the new year. I'm going to stack them for a while. I'll probably try and do a couple a week anyway. And if anybody's still watching, give me a shout out and tell me what you think. Should I have stayed away? Are you glad I'm back? Or whatever. You could do an emoji or a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the comments, just so I can see if people are going to watch these again, because I really have no idea. You know, it's not the best strategy to stop doing videos for a month or so at a time, but I'm sure it'll build back up if people are interested. Okay, I've been watching a lot of your videos too, which I enjoy. I probably haven't been commenting enough. I've just kind of been very passive with my YouTube video stuff, and that's it. I'm already running out of wind, so I got to pack because I'm leaving tomorrow, and it's 80 degrees or whatever, high of 80, 90 every day, which I'm sure which would make a lot of folks jealous there. And again, happy Christmas, Merry Holiday, and everything like that. And another thing I got to work on is how to smoothly end these videos. But that's it. Okay, talk later. Bye.